Steve Darrow says we lost the last raider, Dick Cole. He was the last of the DooLittle raiders. Cole was the co-pilot, I think, wasn't he? He was DooLittle's co-pilot, I think, on the Ruptured Duck. But to go, 2015 to 2019, for Dick Cole to go 97, 98, 96. Anyway, he was a terrific guy. I got to meet him briefly at a reunion when they had two guys left, and then the other guy was a gunner, I want to say. Anyway, an absolute hero, and these guys. For those of you not familiar with the story, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of details, but obviously the DooLittle raid was launched just a few months after Pearl Harbor, and it was basically a morale boost kind of thing. But Jimmy DooLittle said he could bomb Japan if he could take his B-25 Mitchells, which was a light bomber, a medium bomber technically, off of a carrier. Never been done before. And the two things that are first and foremost in my mind about that are the fact that since you had to stack these B-25s on the flight deck, and the B-25 is a big airplane, you stack them from as far back as you can put them, and you pack them in as tightly as you can, but that still means that the forward plane, the lead plane, which was DooLittle's plane, had about half a carrier deck to take off. In other words, these things weren't designed to come off of a carrier deck if you used the whole thing, but DooLittle was there, and they were sailing into a stiff wind, and off they went. But they were detected by a Japanese fishing boat, which they suspected had a radio on it, and so they had a decision to make whether they were going to either launch several hours early or keep going and risk the carrier, which was just not possible. I mean, it was just there was nothing left. We needed those carriers very badly. So they took off several hours early, which meant they had longer to fly, which meant they had less fuel. And when they took off, they knew that the thin chances that they had in the beginning were greatly reduced because very few of them thought they'd have enough fuel to make it to the fields in China. And some of them didn't make it to the mainland at all. Some of them ditched in the South China Sea. So there was that. And I've also heard a story that nobody knew where they were going when they signed up. It was all completely top secret. So they had, each one of the B-25s had a crew, and obviously, and they had backup crew members. And my understanding is that when they found out that they were going to have to go early and really enormously increase the risk, all of the backup crew members were offering what were just huge sums at the time, $500, to get on the mission, not to get off it, to get on it. They wanted to go real badly. You can make a pretty compelling case that the DooLittle raid won the war, or at the very least certainly shortened the war by several years. And I think the reason you can make that case is because when Tokyo was bombed, the damage was so slight it hardly even counted. But the Japanese military and the emperor had promised that what's going on? That they would be safe from American attacks. To have bombers over Tokyo in early 1942 so embarrassed the Japanese high command, and Yamamoto specifically, so embarrassed him that he decided he was going to set this trap and destroy the American carrier fleet right off, just going to go out there and just sink them, which led to the Battle of Midway, where we sank 4 of their carriers and did the fatal damage in 5 minutes, and one of them took another day to sink, but put 4 of their carriers down for the loss of 1. And that was the turning point of the war. The war was just really getting started, but after Midway, we had the initiative the whole way. And I don't think Midway would have happened without the DooLittle raid. I don't think he would have risked it. He had no reason to. But he went out there, and that was the result of an absolute genius and extremely brave man named Jimmy DooLittle, and every single one of the guys who went on that raid. So Dick Cole was the co-pilot on the lead airplane, and he passed away. So I'm very sorry to see him go, but I bet you anything if you'd asked Dick Cole where they were warming up the engines, and he's sitting in the right seat. And this is not a big airplane. You know, you think these bombers, B-17 is really shockingly small airplane when you actually get up to it, because we're so used to commercial jets, they're so big. But when you actually see how big a B-17 is, it's tiny. B-25 is even smaller. So they're packed in there shoulder to shoulder. And I wonder, and when they were firing up the engines, getting ready for takeoff, I wonder if Dick Cole thought that he was going to live to see 2019. I'll bet you anything he didn't think he was going to live to see the end of the day. So anyway, very, very good.